Hi everybody, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I'm kicking off 2026 with a review of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. One of the highlights of 2025 of the movies was the surprise reteaming of director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland with their surprise legacy sequel to their early aughts zombie classic 28 Days Later with 28 Years Later. And it's a movie that only gets better and better every time I see it. It still really stuns me, the places that movie goes and the style it does it in, and really stunning on the emotions that it leaves me with. The lovely digital crunch that Danny Boyle and his cinematographer Anthony Dodd Mantle bring to the mise-en-scène, and Alex Garland's writing that mythologizes and gives new lore to this post-apocalyptic Britain that he eventually demythologizes and offers some fascinating and even hopeful and emotional ideas about how communities and individuals treat both the living and the dead alike. It really is a great movie, and it really surprised me not only how good that movie was, but also that there was an entire trilogy of these movies planned. Not only that, but that this sequel here, The Bone Temple, would be released with only within a few months of the first one. And whether it had to do with scheduled conflicts or compensating for changing age, but Danny Boyle would not be directing The Bone Temple. This is instead helmed by Nia DaCosta, a director who's gotten something of a bum rap in certain online circles, mostly due to the Marvels. But personally, I find DaCosta's strength is with the character dramas and the way that she navigates how characters interact with each other. It's very strong, and she'll always have a fan in me for that. I, for one, quite liked her Candyman remake. And you know what? I also really liked The Bone Temple. This movie honestly rips. It picks up right where the last one left off and brings the scale down to a more intimate and slower, patient, somber chamber drama. We, of course, have returning characters like our lead from the last one, Spike, played again by the wonderful little Alfie Williams. He takes a bit of a backseat role this time around because he's under the grip of the deliciously villainous and twisted Jack O'Connell, who plays this leader of this roaming cultish gang of hoodlums known as the Jimmies. All of them decked out in tracksuits and this ugly mop of hair, very intentionally modeled after Jimmy Savile, which English viewers would recognize as a very, very famous children's and family entertainer who was also infamously a massive sex creep. I don't know all the details myself, but the ones I know are really, really ugly. Best I could square it in American terms is if you had like had this same gang in like a post-apocalyptic New York, and they're all decked down in like Cosby sweaters. There's also returning is one of the MVPs of the 2020s in terms of movies is Dr. Ian Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes. A guy who was built up in the first movie as this sort of Colonel Kurtz type, who just completely lost himself to the madness of the apocalypse, but actually was revealed to be a much more gentler soul, and is very contemplative of how we treat the dead in this world full of the dead. And he's basically the protagonist this time around, and we see a lot of how he operates by his day-to-day, carrying the dead, disposing of their bodies, finding a place with their bones, and his ossuary/art project that is the titular Bone Temple. And Ralph Fiennes is just absolutely the highlight of this movie. If you need one reason to watch it, he is the reason to watch it. He has such great grasp of the drama and the somberness of his character, but as the movie ramps up towards the end, you get the chance where he goes just completely sicko mode. And I dare not spoil too much of what happens here because the avenues that this movie explores really is a part of the delight of watching it. Whether it's how Jimmy is able to control his gang through this weird, twisted sense of religion, or watching Kelson form an odd friendship of sorts with one of the alpha infected that we met in the last movie, Samson. On the topic, I really had to shout out Samson's actor here, Lewis-Parry, who I feel is kind of one of the unsung heroes of this movie. He's asked to do a lot, asked to show a lot too, and he's able to communicate a lot through his eyes and his facial tics. I won't spoil it, but there is a scene on a train that is just marvelous. Everybody is doing great work here. I would say that I do miss the visual experimentation of the last movie. What Anthony Dodd Mantle brought with this like iPhone camera setups really helped take that movie to a whole other level. Which isn't to say that what DaCosta and her DP, Sean Bobbitt, is doing sloppy work or anything. Not at all. The movie looks great, but it's just at a different register from the first movie. Visually looks more traditional, but the shots definitely hang a little longer. There's still some some of that frantic, chaotic, angry energy that you get with the rage virus zombies. There's a nice implementation of these sort of gimbal shots, I want to say they are. Bobbitt is mostly known for his work on Steve McQueen movies like 12 Years a Slave and Widows. Also did stuff like Judas and the Black Messiah on the side. So while there are short bursts of trying to be evocative of the Danny Boyle style, this is very much mostly its own piece. There's also really solid work from the composer Hilda Guðnadóttir, from Joker, as well as some really choice needle drops. Gotta say, this is maybe the best use of Iron Maiden I have seen in a movie in years. So while there are things I could describe as a step down from the last movie, it's not that much of a step down. There's a bit of a lag in the middle of the movie, but nothing I would say is outright damning. I'm just really impressed by both of these movies. It's just so cool that this series is becoming one of the most thoughtful and emotionally investing and satisfying zombie series that I've seen this side of a George Romero. Which I hope people are able to see through, because this movie is apparently not doing too great at the box office. My fear is that this doesn't do too well, and that third movie gets retroactively ungreenlit, which I hope it doesn't, especially since Danny Boyle is planning to come back for that one in the director's chair, which I would really kill to see that. But yeah, really impressed by this, really enjoyed myself. Maybe the highs aren't exactly as high as the last time around, but it's still such a solid and satisfying movie in its own right, and I feel it deserves a light 8. So yeah, please check out The Bone Temple. I would really like to see that third 28 years later movie come out. But for now, I'm Zach. I like movies. I got a lot more movies to watch, and I hope you watch movies too, because, well, January's been crazy as of late, but, life is still worth living, and the movies make life worth living too. So yeah, memento mori, and I hope you all have a pleasant day. You take care of yourselves.